Way back in January, okay, a couple of months ago, at the CHA trade show, I fell in love with something called metal leaf. Now, you may remember it from years ago, but wait till you see what you can do with it. Then I went to a booth from IndigoBlu. Now, this is a British company, and they have a wonderful variety of things.
They have a combination of these beautiful stamps that work perfectly with the metal leaf and something called FlitterGlu.
They do. And as a matter of fact, there are so many things you can do with metal leaf that this week there will be 2 webisodes because we just couldn't fit it all into one. That sound interesting? Come play with us. Now here are 4 of the metal leaf sheets. They come in a package like this.
Right. We have variegated blue, variegated green, variegated black, and silver.
Okay, we're going to do projects with all of them. But let me just show you the variegated black. Let me open this up. And in the variegated, you get 6 sheets to a package, and they're 5.5 inches square. Mm-hmm. And they look, let's see, we've used this. Let me just... They are super, super thin. There's a little piece.
And they are really flittery and fluttery.
Yeah,
and
like that.
Staticky and
they are.
Yeah.
But
they make such a beautiful, I mean, you'll see.
So you can see that variegated look.
Right.
And then I'll show you the silver later, but like I said, there's 6 sheets in here.
So the different variegateds, they have that variegated look and then just a hint of blue, green, this one is black.
Right. Now IndigoBlu, let's see, could you bring in the other stamp? These are the first 4 that we're bringing in, and they also have a thing called FlitterGlu, G-L-U, and they also have a scoochy foam.
A scoochy foam, which is necessary for removing the metal leaf.
Technical terms here.
Okay.
Okay, so stamping is going to be today's webisode. So let me bring in a beautiful card, and actually this is what was demonstrated to me.
And there's that stamp, and these are rubber cling stamps.
Right, this is a lollipop tree.
Lollipop tree. But they're pretty large too.
They are. And look at that shimmer and shine. Isn't that gorgeous?
There's really, I haven't seen anything like it. That's that metal leaf is just, it's like gold right there.
It really is. Yeah. And no, you don't need to seal it, but there is a technique. And what's really nice is in with the FlitterGlu, there are instructions. So no surprises, but look at not only the size of it, but just the spectacularness of it.
Right. So should we start by showing them how we did this? Okay. So I've got my craft sheet here, and I've got all of the elements that I'm going to need. I've got my stamp on a stamping block. I've got cardstock. I have some of the variegated leaf right here, ready to put on. I have my scoochy sponge, FlitterGlu, and I'm going to apply the FlitterGlu with this blending tool. And so here we go. I've got a little bit of FlitterGlu on there. I'm just going to show you how you apply it. You just can put some drops on like this, just sort of blend it in.
So you don't want to have it oozing.
Right. You don't want big globs on there. You want it to smoothed around pretty good on there, and then you just start applying it. If you push too hard on your stamp, it's going to go down in between. You don't want big globs of glue on here, because wherever you put the glue, that's where the metal leaf is going to stick. So I'm hoping to just make a nice shiny image, shiny with the glue. And then we'll see if we can get a pretty good, because it's gluey, you know, it's gluey, it's FlitterGlu. When you press it on, it's going to stick to that cardstock a little bit.
Hence the glue.
Hence the glue. So you'll be peeling the cardstock off. Go ahead and press that on. Mm-hmm. Sure that I'm getting it all over. There, now I can see that image on there pretty well. Well, I can see it. You probably can.
Right. Let's see. There you go. There.
And the next step is applying the metal leaf. So I open this up and carefully take one piece at a time. You can use 2 different colors too on stamps. I've noticed you can, you know, you can put a little bit on the top, a little bit on the bottom.
And one thing I want to say quickly, because I know we'll be saying it again, is that you can use the leftover bits and pieces. So do not throw these sheets away or the little bits of it away, because you'll want to have those.
Okay, so
now, could you just flip it over, see the other side of it? Because I didn't do that. So that's one side, and there's the other. They're slightly different, so you can make your choice, and you can make your choice about where you want to put what variegation or what color.
I'm putting that right on the center.
Okay.
If you don't lay it down flat, it is not really much of it. It's really not much of an issue.
As we show right here.
It's all right. It's going to all work out. And you're going to start by attaching it to that gluey surface there with your finger.
Now, did you want to put wax paper on top of that to smooth it?
I'm not yet.
Okay.
First, I'm going to use my finger and sort of move it around and get it attached, and I can even tear those little bits off of the edge as long as
it's okay to tear it.
Right. I'm just sort of going to push it off the edge.
And those are the pieces you can use, any size.
Right, any size. They can even be little tiny bits like this. Yeah. It's just as long as you hold on to them and keep them, then that's going to work fine. Wax paper works really good to hold on to this stuff when you're not using it. I'm going to take off most of the excess, and I've got a piece of plastic here that'll kind of help grab a sheet protector. That'll help grab onto it. Wax paper is the other choice. Okay, so set that aside.
Kind of see the tree shape
for some other use, and then we're going to start burnishing this. Now you can start burnishing it with your fingers. Another idea that I came across that worked pretty good is taking a piece of acetate, laying it on top of it, and then using a bone folder to go around. So this will save your finger, and it also keeps the metal leaf from coming off on your finger, or it keeps it from getting sort of not a very shiny finish. You don't want to remove any of the shiny finish. So this works really nicely.
I want to see the scoochy foam used.
Okay, all right. I have to make sure that this is on there. So you go around. It doesn't take forever, but you do want to make sure it's adhered to all of that glue surface, that stamp. Okay, I'm going to remove that.
Okay.
Now here's the scoochy sponge. And you just start scoochy foam. And you just start here. If you want to zoom in on that part, you can sort of see.
And so it's removing the part that is not glued down.
That is not glued in place.
And you just do it in a circular motion over the whole thing. Now, all of those bits that are being lifted, you can use. I swear to you.
Sure. You can shake this off, put it in some sort of container. There, you can see it coming off.
And then you can just go right around the whole piece. Isn't that pretty? And of course, solid areas, when you're looking at your stamps, solid pieces is really what you want. So having this tree with all these tiny leaves is just quite perfect.
Right. What I'm finding that makes it easier is if you sort of use, once you get to these small areas, use just a corner of it and you can really get in between those small, so I can get those defined.
Hence the scoochiness of it.
Right. Scooch it right out of there so you can get the definition of that stamp. But as you can see.
Wow.
Yeah.
Just beautiful.
Just keep working it a little more. The more you work it, there you go.
And so you can see that one has, let's just lift this up so you can see the gold a little, or the shine a little bit more. So that has more of the variegated all over.
Right.
Whereas on this particular one, it was shifted so that the variegated was more at the top. So no right way or wrong way. It's just that you have lots of choices.
Right.
And in selecting your stamp, that's going to be important. So this is the IndigoBlu, like I said, the lollipop.
Right, the lollipop tree.
This is done with a stamp that's an oldie but a goodie. It's a flower silhouette stamp, and it was chosen because it does have these solid areas.
Right, so you want to really give something for the leaf to grab onto.
Right, right. So you can get the variegated and
placed it right on that stamped image onto cardstock, and then each one of the images were cut out so these leaves could be layered with it.
And the cutting die that's providing the frame is the 2 oval doilies, and it also has the mat. So you can see that works very, very nicely. Now, you might think that this is just perfect for card makers, and it is perfect for card makers.
Yes, it is.
However, look at what you can do for scrapbooking. Yes.
Isn't this beautiful? So this was also used with one of our newer stamp sets with the butterflies. You can see here.
Let me bring it in.
And I'm going to start up here. Yeah, you want to go ahead and...
Yeah, I want to bring this in because several areas of this stamp set were used. So obviously the butterflies, as you can see.
Right, but also...
Look at that border.
That border stamp. Now, see, you were just talking about that stamp set that had these large areas that are flat. Now, this isn't like that at all. This is a very detailed stamp, and it worked perfectly on there as well.
Yeah, it did. It did. It's... Okay, so I guess you play. The other thing that was done, so more butterflies, beautifully done.
I love that it was stamped behind. Then these were done individually on cardstock and foam taped up above those stamped images. Beautiful.
But what was a surprise to me, in addition to that border, is the words.
Right.
What a happy day.
What a happy day. And it's just perfectly gone around. It's really, you can see that it was a simple process. You just have to make sure that it's burnished really well, that you have enough of that glue on there, not too much, or if you put too much glue, then it's going to get sloppy outside those letters, the glue is, and then they're going to be looking
It's kind of like when you're doing Versamark. I mean, the same thing. You want to be, you know, you're not slopping it on. Those of you who are really aware right now, you'll notice that this might be a paper that you haven't seen before. This is Mirage, and it will be out the end of the month. So not to torment you, but isn't it pretty? But isn't that just gorgeous?
It is beautiful. So that's a beautiful look. So card making and scrapbooking.
And we're back to card making. And this is just an absolutely beautiful stamp from IndigoBlu. In fact, they have several of these for different seasons, so I wouldn't be surprised if we'll have one with snowflakes later in the year. But I think she's just quite gorgeous. Now, the trick, if you're doing the variegated, is that you probably don't want much of the variegation on her face.
I see, yeah. So that so it's not like too liney. You could put a little more gold there, but that's just a beautiful look.
You can just position
that fine detail that picks up with that glue, with the FlitterGlu and then the scoochy pad taking it off.
Isn't that gorgeous? Now, it did take Susan a couple of times to get this perfect. Part of it was the variegated and just not realizing that. So
there is a point of overworking it with your fingers. I've noticed. You can, if you start to overwork it, you might actually remove some of the gold leaf. That's why I liked that acetate on top,
or sheet protector.
Then you're not touching it. It's a little easier, but you can do it without the acetate as well.
So pretty. And again, on the dark color, some of the petaloo flowers, using the design tool just works really well. This is the chalkboard collection.
Chalkboard paper pack. Yeah.
Now, we've talked about the variegated quite a bit, but let me show you the silver. So here's the silver leaf. It has 25 sheets in it. So evidently silver is easier to make than variegated.
Well, maybe it's you know, you can use it in so many different ways, and it's not variegated. It's that solid look. And of course, we've used all of these, as you can see, but look at that.
There's the silver. Now, I was kind of curious. Okay, so how different is this, say, from a StazOn silver ink pad? This is much more reflective, much more shiny. It doesn't even compare. I mean, the StazOn is fine, but this is just, again, the metal leaf.
Right.
So you've got all of those sheets in there, and what can you do with it? Well, I did talk about, I thought it was better on a dark, but look at this on white.
Isn't it beautiful? Yeah. I love first that the card was stamped in fluid chalk with a blue fluid chalk ink, and then it was stamped using the FlitterGlu, and the metal leaf was actually the part behind here that you see the silver.
And this too, Kindred Spirits, is also, along with the Mirage, going to be available at the end of the month. But you can see this has solid areas, but it also has fine areas. And a nice mix of the stamping, both in the blue as well as the black.
And the black is stamped right on top of the metal leaf, so this is great. I also want to show you that edge, the treatment that was done on the edge over here. So the glue was applied in just a real random fashion with that blending tool, just kind of stamped all over the edges, and then just placed the gold leaf on there, and it picked up that that very eclectic edge.
That is quite beautiful. Yeah. In the center and at the bottom, these are the diamond rhinestones. They're the self-adhesive sheets.
Right. And they can be cut into strips, into little tiny pieces. You can
love the square turned on point.
Yeah,
yes, beautifully done. So you can see all of the layers that are done on this really easily. That's a good technique to remember.
It is. Now, it's worth pointing out that this works more than just on paper. It can go on many different surfaces. If you read the cover, it can go on ceramics, on glass, plastic, lots of different surfaces that it will stick to.
And speaking of different surfaces, later on this week, we're going to show you more things that you can do with the metal leaf.
See you then.